Hit the green and black button, it'll say delete message.
With facilities to record from the radio or from a microphone.
With many devices that are now outdated, the 1980s were a special period for entertainment and technology. These commonplace devices, such as Betamax tapes and VCRs, shaped a generation. Can you picture a period before digital downloads or streaming? Come us as we examine 25 commonplace 1980s items that Generation Z has never seen. In the 1980s, dot matrix printers were widely used and renowned for their distinctive dot-based printing technique and loud noise. These printers, in contrast to contemporary inkjet or laser printers, produced characters and images with small dots by moving a print head back and forth across the paper and striking an ink-soaked ribbon. Their printing was quite successful, even though it was not as smooth as modern techniques. These printers, which were first introduced in the early 1970s, gained popularity due to their efficiency and affordability. The first successful model, the Centronics 101, established the benchmark. The ability of these printers to print on multi-part forms, which made them ideal for carbon copies, was valued by businesses. Dot matrix printers made a lot of noise, but they were dependable and long-lasting. Through interactive games, the Speak and Spell educational gadget helped kids get better at spelling. It was one of the first portable electronic devices with a visual display and interchangeable game cartridges when Texas Instruments first released it in 1978. Words and phrases were pronounced by the toy using a TMC0280 linear predictive coding speech synthesizer.
Speak and Spell has 5 play modes. Press go to activate spell mode.
Spell 5. F-I.
Kids found it appealing and simple to use because of its bright orange color and straightforward keyboard. Included in the toy were spelling exercises like mystery word and secret code, which promoted proper spelling in kids. It created a dynamic learning environment by providing prompt responses, complimenting accurate answers, and gently encouraging children to try again when they made mistakes. For shooting games on the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, the zapper guns were lightweight weapons. When the NES Zapper was released in North America in 1985, it quickly gained popularity as a console peripheral. It made gaming more engaging by enabling players to shoot at targets in games and aim at the TV screen. The Zapper's initial design was similar to that of a revolver. However, in order to distinguish it from actual firearms,
I don't know. However, they could have done better. They could have done better than this, right?
It was eventually altered to resemble a futuristic ray gun that was brilliant orange in color. Pulling the trigger caused the zapper to detect light from the screen. Among the beloved games that made use of the zapper were Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, and Wild Gunman. A popular toy in the 1980s, Cabbage Patch Kids were adorable and little spooky, plush dolls with distinctive faces. The original Little People were made by Xavier Roberts in 1978 and offered for sale at craft fairs. Because each doll had a name and a birth certificate, they felt unique and customized.
60 people walked away feeling like winners today, even though their prize cost them $26.99 on sale.
The dolls were renamed Cabbage Patch Kids after Coleco acquired the rights to produce them in bulk in 1982. Known for their large eyes and round faces, the dolls had plastic heads and soft bodies. They swiftly gained popularity, and parents hurried to get them for their kids. Huge demand resulted from this, and during the holidays, there were even store riots. In the 1980s, a popular device that combined a digital watch and an integrated calculator was the Casio calculator watch. These watches, which Casio first released in 1980, gained notoriety for their usefulness and futuristic appearance. Users could do simple mathematical operations, including addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, using the watch's tiny keypad on the face. The Casio Databank series was one of the most well-known models. It had a phone book, calendar, and alarm, in addition to a calculator.
Some people might find this lack of weight and the softness of the strap as a flaw. as it may give some people the feeling of cheapness.
Students, professionals, and tech enthusiasts all favored it because of its fashionable appearance and variety of uses. The calculator watch was a necessary tool for daily work because it was particularly helpful for doing rapid calculations while on the run. Because they made it possible for individuals to get messages when they were unable to answer the phone, answering machines were crucial household products in the 1980s. Although the concept originated in the early 1900s, they were not generally accessible and reasonably priced until the 1970s and 1980s. These devices recorded messages on magnetic tape that could be played at a later time.
At the auditory stimulus of a short tone burst, please begin babbling.
The electronic secretary, the first widely used answering machine, debuted in 1949. Devices like the PhoneMate 400, which had a 20-message storage capacity, were well known by the 1980s. These gadgets featured a tape deck for storing incoming messages, a speaker, and a microphone for recording messages. Users of certain models might remotely check their messages from a different phone and even change their greetings. Fax machines, which made it possible for people to send and receive documents by telephone, were indispensable equipment for households and workplaces in the 1980s. Alexander Bain, a Scottish inventor, invented the first gadget to send images in 1843, which is when the technology for faxing initially emerged. Fax machines were widely utilized in homes and companies during the 1970s and 1980s. After scanning a document, a fax machine transforms it into electrical impulses.
The paper, take up half a ream.
That are sent to another fax machine via phone lines. A copy of the original document is printed after the receiving machine decodes the signals. Later designs switched to plain paper from thermal paper in early models, making fax machines more accessible and practical for daily usage in both home and business contexts. As technology developed in the 1980s, digital dictionaries, also referred to as electronic dictionaries, became more and more popular. Without a hefty book, these devices allow users to swiftly look up terms and their definitions. Like little computers, early digital dictionaries were portable devices with keyboards and screens. They provided immediate access to a variety of information, including translations, synonyms, and definitions. The Seiko Electronic Dictionary, which debuted in the early 1980s, was among the first. Although its vocabulary was small and its design was straightforward.
Great. I did a good job. Nice. I get to graduate on to the next word if I want to now. So that's kind of, you can learn different phrases, and then when you get better, you can go up to dialogues.
The product was revolutionary. Companies like Casio and Sharp developed increasingly sophisticated devices with larger word lists and features like grammar and pronunciation guidance as technology advanced. These dictionaries were well liked by tourists and students, but they eventually lost ground to online dictionaries and software programs that provided even more functionality. In the 1980s, the electronic memory game Simon gained a lot of popularity. Howard J. Morrison and Ralph H. Baer developed it, and Milton Bradley first published it in 1978. 4 sizable buttons on the game's circular, multicolored gizmo lit up and produced various sounds. Players were supposed to repeat progressively challenging light and sound patterns. Inspired by a previous Atari arcade game named Touch Me, Simon enhanced the basic idea with a better design and more palatable noises.
Probably can't get very far, maybe 7, maybe 10. You get an easy sequence. And past that, it's pretty hard for the average person. You watcher of my channel, you're not the average person.
The game gained popularity, particularly over the holidays, and was frequently included on kids' wish lists. A spectacular launch event at New York City's Studio 54 contributed to its popularity. A well-known video game console that contributed to the 16-bit gaming period was the Sega Genesis, also known as the Mega Drive outside of North America. It was Sega's third platform and the replacement for the Master System, and it was first released in Japan in 1988 and North America in 1989. Strong visuals, sound, and a vast selection of games.
I think I'm just gonna press the reset button. There's no other buttons on this, so. There's... Now that
made the Genesis well known very fast. It had a Zilog Z80 sound controller and a Motorola 68000 processor, which produced lively sounds and fluid gameplay. From fast-paced action games like Sonic the Hedgehog to sports titles like Madden NFL, the system included a wide variety of games. Effective marketing, with the tagline, "Genesis does what Nintendo doesn't," highlighting its advantages over Nintendo, contributed to its success. Gaming was transformed by the Sega Genesis, but what about a fashion movement that infused the 1980s with color and glitter? Let us investigate jelly shoes. In the 1980s, the Atari 2600 was a very well-liked home gaming system. Originally known as the Atari Video Computer System, it was released by Atari Inc. in 1977 and changed its name in 1982. Compared to prior systems with built-in games, this console was revolutionary for its time since it used interchangeable game cartridges. The Atari 26000 included 128 bytes of random access memory and an 8-bit CPU. 2 joystick controllers and a set of paddle controllers for various game kinds were included. Well-known games like Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Pitfall quickly gained widespread recognition.
So now hopefully you've gotten the gist of how the screen is laid out. And don't worry if it looks confusing, it should be more evident what everything is once we start programming.
Notwithstanding obstacles such as the video game crash in 1983, the Atari 2600 continues to play a significant role in the history of gaming. In the 1980s, jelly shoes, sometimes known as jellies, were vibrant rubber sandals that gained a lot of popularity. They were renowned for their sparkly patterns and vivid hues, and they were constructed from PVC plastic. They were called jelly shoes because of the way they felt and looked like jelly.
Underneath's got a bit of a higher density material for durability, and an adjustable buckle at the side here allows you to customize your fit. Otherwise,
the French business Jelly Shoes, founded in 1980 by Tony Alano and Nicolas Guillon, was the first to produce them. Children and teenagers loved these shoes because they were inexpensive, lightweight, and waterproof. They were available in several styles, such as boots, flats, and sandals. Jelly shoes were ideal for casual daily wear, as well as the beach and pool. Despite their straightforward style, they were regarded as fashionable and well-liked by celebrities and trendsetters. Before DVDs and streaming services became popularity, VCRs, video cassette recorders, were the primary method of watching movies at home in the 1980s. Introduced in the 1970s, VCRs allow users to record television programs and view movies on VHS tapes that they may purchase or rent. By enabling users to watch their favorite content at any time, this new technology revolutionized home entertainment. VCRs recorded and played audio and video using magnetic tape contained in a plastic cassette. Betamax lost the format war to VHS, which was the most widely used format. Users of VCRs were able to record, fast forward, rewind, and play. The tapes would deteriorate over time, lowering the quality of the sound and images. VHS was superseded by DVDs by the early 2000s, and streaming services rendered physical media all but extinct. Home entertainment was transformed by VCRs, but what gadget allows users to listen to their favorite music on the go? Now let us investigate the Walkman. People were able to listen to music wherever they went thanks to the Walkman, a portable cassette player that gained popularity in the 1980s. When Sony released the first model, the TPSL-2 in 1979, it revolutionized the way that people listened to music. Prior to Walkmans, most people listened to music at home or in their cars, but these tiny gadgets let you to take your favorite tunes with you wherever you went. Because they were portable and included foam-covered headphones, Walkmans came to represent individual music consumption. Users were able to create their own playlists by recording songs from the radio or other recordings using cassette tapes, which had a 90-minute music storage capacity. The Walkman gained enormous popularity, despite problems including requiring new batteries and having inconsistent sound quality, which had an impact on later portable music players and contemporary streaming services. Sony developed the Betamax video format in 1975, and it was a rival to VHS in the 1980s. They were the first popular format for home videotapes, which changed the way we viewed media by enabling people to record TV series and watch movies at home. Betamax, which had a resolution of roughly 250 lines, provided higher quality images than VHS. The primary drawback, though, was that it only had a 1-hour recording time, whereas VHS cassettes had a 2-hour recording time. Customers who wished to record lengthier content began using VHS more frequently as a result. Despite having superior quality, Betamax lost the war to VHS because of time constraints and higher prices. VHS overtook Betamax as the most popular format by the middle of the 1980s, and Sony discontinued production of Betamax in 2002. Polaroid cameras gained popularity in the 1980s as an instantaneous photo-taking device. In 1948, Edwin H. Land unveiled the Land Model 95, the first Polaroid camera, which revolutionized photography. With Polaroid cameras, users could view their images in a matter of minutes, as opposed to traditional film cameras that required film to be developed in a darkroom.
And this is a neat little camera. I got this camera at a garage sale for $15 with its whole outfit.
Special film was used by these cameras to create the image immediately after it was captured. In roughly 60 seconds, an image was produced by the chemicals in the film reacting to light. A popular icon of the 1980s, Polaroid cameras' boxy appearance and vibrant rainbow stripe made taking pictures at parties, family get-togethers, and vacations simpler and more pleasurable for all. Instant photography was revolutionized by Polaroid cameras. But what about gadgets that made printing more efficient? Let us investigate the dot matrix printer period. Before USB drives gained popularity, floppy disks were widely used for data storage and transport. They were well known in the 1980s and 1990s after being first launched in the 1970s. The 5.25-inch and 3.5-inch discs were the two primary sizes. Introduced in 1976, the 5.25-inch floppy was a versatile device that could store up to 1.2 gigabytes of data. Early word processors and personal computers made extensive use of it. When the 3.5-inch floppy was released in 1982, it was more widely used since it had a more robust plastic shell and could store up to 1.44 gigabytes of data. These disks were used for data backup, file transfers, and program sharing. The floppy disk drive read and wrote them. Despite their widespread use, floppy disks were susceptible to dust and magnet damage and had a limited storage capacity. CDs, DVDs, and USB drives, which provided greater storage and dependability, supplanted them by the late 1990s. Before cell phones were widely used, people could send and receive text messages using pagers, often known as beepers. They gained popularity in the 1980s and 1990s after being created in the 1940s.
It's got a belt clip, which is removable. Shows the time. Currently, I have no pages.
Pagers would vibrate or ding when a message was received, and people would clip them to their belts or carry them in their pockets. Radio signals sent by a central transmitter are received by pagers. People would dial a pager number and leave a message that was either alphabetic or numeric when they wished to get in touch with you. The message would appear on a little screen on the pager. Pagers were less convenient than modern communication technologies because they could only receive messages, and users had to locate a payphone or landline to respond. Cathode ray tube TVs, or CRTs, were big, bulky tube TVs that were frequently found in living rooms. These televisions displayed images on a glowing screen using a vacuum tube equipped with electron cannons. The mid-1900s saw the rise in popularity of CRT technology, which had begun in the late 1800s. CRT TVs were the mainstay of home entertainment because of their vibrant colors and consistent performance. Even the smaller ones were heavy in comparison to contemporary flat-screen TVs, yet they existed in a variety of sizes. The tubes were deeper on larger TVs, and the panels were curved. As technology advanced, flat-screen TVs like LCD and LED models became lighter, thinner, and more energy efficient, replacing CRTs. Speaking of advances, what gadget became a must-have for youngsters in the 1980s? CRT TVs changed home entertainment. Let us examine Speak and Spell's ascent. Boomboxes, sometimes known as ghetto blasters, were enormous portable cassette tape players with powerful speakers that gained popularity in the 1980s. Teenagers were spotted carrying these gadgets across the city, making them renowned in hip-hop culture. When ghetto blasters were initially made available in the late 1970s, individuals could listen to their music and enjoy deep bass and loud sound. In 1966, Philips produced the Norelco 22RL962, the first boombox. Ghetto blasters became very popular in the 1980s. They had strong speakers, 2 tape decks for recording and playing music, and an AM/FM radio. Although they were battery-operated and portable, their weight and bulk made them difficult to move around without exertion. Joseph Enterprises, Inc., invented the clapper, a sound-activated electrical switch, in 1984. Joe Padot was in charge of marketing it. It let people to operate devices like TVs and lighting by clapping their hands.
Let's do this. That not enough for you? How about this?
Up to 2 devices, each triggered by a distinct clap pattern, could be controlled by the device, which was connected to a standard electrical outlet. The clapper's memorable catchphrase, "Clap on, clap off, the clapper," was used in TV ads and helped make them famous. People could easily switch on lights or appliances with it without getting up from their seats. In order to deter any attackers, the gadget also featured a security feature that activated a light at any sound. The 1980s saw the rise in popularity of the ZX Spectrum, an 8-bit home computer. It was conceived by Sir Clive Sinclair and produced by Sinclair Research before being published in the UK on April 23, 1982. The Spectrum, which was a significant improvement over the ZX81, was commended for its compact size, rubber keyboard, and vibrant graphics. It had variants with 16 or 48 kilobytes of memory and a Z80A processor that ran at 3.5 megahertz. Programs are loaded and stored on audio cassette tapes, and the computer is connected to a television for display. The ZX Spectrum was popular among families and enthusiasts due to its affordability and adaptability, and it significantly contributed to the rise of video games and home computing. Home computing was transformed by the ZX Spectrum. But what other device from the 1980s brought together fashion and functionality in such a unique way? Let us investigate. Nintendo debuted the Game Boy, a revolutionary portable video game platform, in 1989. It was created by Gunpei Yokoi and came to represent the 1990s cultural era.
Power to create some of the most iconic and unique games of its time. One example would have to be the Super Mario Land series.
The Game Boy had a monochrome screen that showed games in 4 shades of gray and an 8-bit processor. Notwithstanding its simple graphics, the console's low cost, extended battery life, and selection of games helped it become incredibly popular. The Game Boy's ability to use interchangeable cartridges, which made switching games simple, was one of its best features. Included at launch was the well-known puzzle game Tetris, which contributed to the console's success. In the 1980s, air poppers gained popularity as a kitchen gadget, revolutionizing the way people prepared popcorn at home. These gadgets, which were first introduced in the late 1970s, made popcorn a healthy snack by using heated air to pop the kernels instead of oil. One of the first air poppers to be sold was the Presto popcorn pumper, which came out in 1978. By forcing hot air through the kernels, the air popper produced fluffy popcorn that popped and flew into a bowl. Compared to using oil on a cooktop, this method was faster, simpler, and healthier. Many homes soon adopted air poppers as a favorite, particularly for family movie evenings. They provided a quick and healthier substitute for conventional popcorn making techniques. Snack time was altered by air poppers, but what other invention from the 1980s permanently changed home entertainment? Let us investigate cable boxes' ascent. In the 1980s, cable boxes revolutionized the way people obtained entertainment by becoming a necessary component of television. These gadgets, which were first developed in the 1970s, increased the number of available channels beyond those offered by broadcast television.
People are tuning in and turning on to cable television. Cable TV is fast becoming one of the most innovative and sophisticated means of communication today.
They made it possible for consumers to watch a variety of specialty channels, such as news, sports, and movies, by decoding cable signals. The first models were big and usually positioned over the TV. For choosing a channel, they had buttons or knobs. Some even had connected remote controls. A new era of television was ushered in with the introduction of cable boxes, which significantly altered home entertainment by providing viewers with more options and the chance to explore shows catered to their interests.